A crime has been committed, and I am the sole remaining voice that will be willing to speak out against it. Now, I would like just to say, before we actually get into this too much, and at the risk of rambling, which is kind of the entire point of this channel, if you hadn't figured that out by now, that I know nothing, basically, about this league. Nothing. Now, there are clubs that might be hated for a lot of reasons. There are clubs that might not be hated for a lot of reasons. I don't know those reasons. All I am here to talk about is the worst league structure I've ever seen, and you've ever seen too. Because it is monumentally fucked up. The worst. And it's been proven with probably the best possible example. This league is one that you're almost certainly not familiar with, but at least you know one of the teams in it. It's the Moldovan League. The top flight of Moldova, the Moldovan Super League. Okay, Moldova was, of course, part of the USSR. It has gone through the same struggles that a lot of people, or a lot of nations that were in the USSR have gone through when it comes to football, corruption, and inability to kind of get the federation and stuff off the ground, right? You see this in a lot of former USSR leagues like we've talked about at other points. I am sick, so a moment. So this is the league table. You play everybody twice in a top flight of 8. And at the top, you'll notice a club that should be pretty well known to people that follow football for a long time. And that would be Sheriff Tiraspol. Now, Sheriff Tiraspol is, to my understanding, the darling of some really rich dude or whatever, right? But they actually got to the Champions League group stage and gave Real Madrid a run for their money. And that is why they should be known. And unsurprisingly, even though I haven't really followed the Moldovan League over the last couple of years, they've had a really good season. I mean, 11 wins, 3 draws, and 14 matches. But this isn't the final season, okay? Because the season goes in 2 parts. They do this until winter, and then because it's cold as shit, they take a break, all right? And so this was the first half of the year, and Sheriff Tiraspol was great. And then we go into the second half of the year. Now, this is the second half of the year. And you'll notice that Sheriff Tiraspol, despite being unbeaten in the first half of the season, despite going in with the most points, they finished second. They have been defeated by Milsami, who were 5th out of 8 in the previous round, but managed to win 6, and Sheriff Tiraspol, rather miraculously, only won half their matches. They drew the other half. Now, a very astute eye will notice that Sheriff Tiraspol has not lost a game this entire season. But this is the final league standing right here. The winner of the Moldovan League is Milsami. That's the winner. They get the trophy. It's over. That means Sheriff Tiraspol played the entire season without a loss. It won 16 of 24 matches and drew the other 8 and finished second to Milsami. A Milsami team that won 6 matches in the first leg before winning 6 matches in the second. How is this possible? I can hear you asking through the screen, are you going to explain what the hell happened? Why all of a sudden Milsami's allowed to get up there? Well, if you're quick with math, 6 wins, 3 draws, what's that add up to? 21 points. They delete the points from the first round. I know. It is the dumbest league system that I have ever seen. Okay, here's the thing. I love different league systems. I do. Right? I think that you have Scotland. They break the league into 2. That sort of thing is cool. They're not the only ones that do it. I think Romania does it. I think maybe Serbia does it. Maybe not. I can't remember. Right? There's some leagues that have only 10 teams, like Switzerland. Or Austria's only got 12 in the top flight. That's fine. You want a smaller country, you're not able to support as many first division clubs. That's okay. You have those different formats. You even have MLS, where you have 2 conferences. And then out of those conferences, depending on where you finish in the regular season, you get seeded into a draw. So if you finish first, you play the team that finished 8th, and you play them in a best of 3. And that third game is at home. So it's a home and away, but if it's tied, or sorry, if one team wins each, then the third game is at your place because you had a better season. All of those league systems, right? Every league system that's been come up with, even Mexico's, which they have basically 2 seasons in a season. There is a reward for how you do in the regular season in the next round. The reward the Moldovan League has decided to bestow is that if you finish in the top 6 of the regular season, you make it to the championship group. 75% of the league makes it to the championship round. And to be perfectly honest, it was decided a long time ago, at least for one of them, Floresti, who clearly shouldn't have been in the top league. Don't worry, we're going to get to them later. You take those 6 teams and then give them a blank slate for 10 matches. That's less than a Champions League group. Oh, sorry, it's less than double a Champions League group. 10 matches. It's basically a 10-match playoff to determine who the winner of the league is going to be. And there is just no reward for how well you did in the previous round. There are some leagues that will even half the points. So let's say you had 46 points where you go into the next round with 23. I'm even okay with that. I'm very amenable to different types of leagues. As long as everybody agrees on the rules beforehand, I don't think there should be much of a problem. But this is a crime against humanity, what has happened to Sheriff Tiraspol in this case. Now, there are some people that will argue, well, they should have been more clutch. They kind of choked, right? But what's the point? I mean, we've already played everybody. This is Milsami. They won less than half of their games against everybody, and they got 2 free wins against Floresti. Okay, and now you've got Sheriff Tiraspol finishing one. I mean, if you add all of the points together from both the rounds, Sheriff Tiraspol's 11 points clear. The only reason that I am not actively storming the FA office in Moldova is because obviously all of the teams involved in this agreed to the rules at the start. But that doesn't mean it's not stupid. And if the only option that Sheriff Tiraspol has is to play in the Moldovan League that basically turns it into a 10-match playoff for an entire league season, then they're probably going to want to do that anyways. I'm just really surprised that there would be a system like this in a league that's money is definitely being brought into it by Sheriff Tiraspol. It's like the rules are set up specifically to punish the one team that is probably doing the most or all of the work to get Moldovan football onto the map in the first place, and yet they're the ones that are in the firing line. Now, the other team that gets added into these weird rules is Floresti. I just want to get them a shout out, right? Because these bottom 2 teams go into this. I don't even really understand it. They go into what is essentially a relegation group, but that relegation group is a couple teams from the top league, a couple teams from the league below them. Floresti not only finished at the bottom of the league, which they did pretty emphatically, 1 draw, 13 losses, no goals scored, none, and 59 conceded, so took care of that. They finished bottom of their relegation group, which involves, as far as I can tell, 4 teams that are not in the top flight from this point. And they all finished above them, and Floresti lost every single match there while scoring only 3 goals and conceding 54 in 10 matches. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of goals to concede. Well, they started relegation group play with a 19-0 loss to Saxon. No, I don't know what happened. I have no idea. All I did was find that score. The next time they played them, they lost 3-0 at home, and that was not a forfeit because this was a forfeit early in the league season. See, I think something happened. They started the season with their draw, the only draw they had on August 3rd, and then they forfeited, and then after the forfeit, they never scored another goal and only scored 3 in the relegation group. Now, they got close. They only lost 1-0 to Floresti. But, of course, as you probably noticed, Floresti is the team that had 2 wins, both of them against Floresti. And I always thought Fauna was better than Flora anyways, so, I mean, good for them. Minus 3 points, so that's a deduction. Deducted 3 points for using players in a home match against Floresti, who played the same day for the junior team. Do they even have a senior team? If you told me they didn't, I wouldn't be surprised. Whatever. I'm sick. My voice hurts. This is a crime, and pour one out for Floresti, okay?